my dear net aspirants, welcome back to High Point again. So we have already started another video series or lecture series related to cultural studies. So this is going to be the third video of in this series, and this is about popular culture. So popular culture is a very popular or a kind of well discussed and popularly discussed term in cultural studies. So cultural studies as a discipline, as an academic discipline, is popularized, and it got its momentum because it started to discuss about a popular culture. Okay, so that we will see the major things related to this particular term popular culture in the background of cultural studies we are going to learn in this video. Let's begin today's class. Before that, don't forget to follow me Instagram, because there I'm sharing lot of free study materials in the form of cards, reels, videos, and many more things in my Instagram page. This is my ID. You can follow me there if you also present in Instagram. And also I have a WhatsApp group in which I am sharing daily quiz questions and also news and updates related to NTA UGC net. If you are interested, you can go to the description box and click the link and join, or if not, you can directly message me or call me in this number, and I'll be glad to make you join there. So moving on, let's first of all have an introduction about popular culture. So we already had an introduction about cultural studies, in which we have already seen what all things and what all themes and topics are discussed under cultural studies. So this is one of the, popular culture is one of the major area of study in cultural studies as a discipline, and along with the everyday life. About everyday life too, we'll have another video in the future in the same series. Here I'm planning about it. So it is the culture of the masses. Simply, what is popular culture? Popular culture is nothing but the culture of the masses. So who are these masses? Masses means the majority people, majority strata of people that is there in a society. So naturally, the elite people won't be the mass people, right? Mass people, or they are not, they will form only 1% or 2% or less than 10% of a society. And rest of the people will belong to middle class or lower class of the lower class, right? So that their culture is known as popular culture. So see, in simple terms, we can see mass culture or popular culture as the culture of the masses, or the majority people, what they are doing in their everyday life, what are their ideologies and what are their activities and rituals and customs that they are following in order to have some meanings, and thereby they have some culture. What are their cultural practices? All those things together known as popular culture. So I hope that was clear. So this culture of the masses include graffiti. So graffiti, comic books. Graffiti, what is graffiti? So graffiti is paintings, wall, that we can see in streets, street walls. Comic books are also included in mass culture or popular culture. Then mass cinema, popular music. So mass cinema, which is opposed to art cinema, or popular music is opposed to classical music. Okay, and open spaces of the city versus we can see in the elite culture, it will be what? It will be galleries, art galleries, and sports items too. So these things they include in popular culture, while some other equivalent things, not equivalent, but instead of mass cinema, in the elite culture it will be what? It will be art cinema. Popular music will be classical music. So this art cinema, classical music, these things are we usually term them as cultural, and they got some legitimacy, right? When we compare mass cinema and art cinema, which is more artistically good, we'll obviously go for art cinema. See, have you ever noticed that the movies which are getting awards and all, okay, and the movies that we have there in the syllabus of film studies, have you ever noticed they are not mass cinemas, they are classical cinemas, or we can say art cinemas. And people are not really going and learning popular music, but they will learn and they will go to some guru and learn classical music. So nobody will say that maybe you will say that you are learning Western music, but still nobody they will go and pay some money to learn popular music or cinematic music. Okay, so going to an art gallery is cultural, but if you are going to pub, or if you are going to watch some graffiti, or if you are going to paint graffiti, then that is not that cultural. So if you can understand the difference of labels, or difference of particular importance and particular kind of ideologies and particular kind of importance given to these things, that makes the differences. Okay, moving on. Culture is everyday life of larger number of people. So culture is not something elite. Culture is, everyone has culture in a society. Individual culture, individual beliefs and ideologies are there, individual practices are there. So when some group of people, they practice same kind of more or less same kind of cultural practices and rituals together, they form a society, and their culture is same. And maybe there will be a class difference or caste difference, or some different gender differences will be there, and those who have power, money and upper hand in society, they'll have different kind of culture and choices for the same thing. Take the example of food. So what the lower class people or the middle class people are eating, the habit related to food will be different in elite class. So they won't be going to any dhaba, or they won't be going to any the place in which food will be very cheap, in the sense, financial sense, food will be very cheap, and they won't go, they will be concerned about the hygiene of the place and all. So but the lower strata people or even middle class people, they will go to dhaba, and they will go to some places there where in which the hygiene was not maintained in a good way. So in that way, the food habit that they have will be different. Okay, and that's how culture is happening. But when we consider which is more cultural, then we'll obviously say that what the elite people are practicing, their culture is obviously the elite one, they are cultural. Even the larger number of the society practicing something else, but their culture will be labeled as popular culture or mass culture, or their some of the practices are considered as inferior or dirty sometimes. Okay, so this everyday life of common people or masses were dismissed as inferior, even though majority of the society have another type of customs, another type of taste about their culture and meaning, while the other class of people's culture, their practices are considered to be considered to be inferior. Okay, so that's how, see, that's how always the middle class people or lower class people, how they always wanted to imitate the elite class people. They see themselves as inferior, and also they wanted to that's what they think about improvement in their life. So this lower class people or middle class people, they will always strive to become an upper class people, not only in the financial terms, even though they cannot achieve it in financial terms, but they will be striving to have such kind of facilities, like such kind of practices like dress habits, food habits, or even going for movies, or some years back when I was teaching cultural studies in a college, one of my students asked me that everybody goes to cinema, mass cinema, everybody goes to these kind of things, there is no difference between elite and mass now. So how come you can say that, see, mass cinema is popular culture, and while art cinema is the only, art cinema belongs to the elite people. Even most of the elite people, they don't watch art cinema. But maybe in some other strata, you can see the lower class people, some individuals in lower class people, they are interested in art cinema. So the thing is that, see, now you find that people are going to mass cinema, people are learning Western music, they have some other taste, and these tastes are mingled together because there is a change happened. Okay, because people also started to enjoy pop music. So, but when you consider these two things, pop music and classical music, which will be given more, maybe for maybe entertainment basis, you may enjoy pop music. Everybody is enjoying pop music, but when you give the term cultural, what you will consider as more cultural. Okay, you will consider classical music, which is more traditional, which is more integral to the culture, which is more cultural, and it is an element of true culture. So how this labeling is happening? Because once, or at least even today, that this culture belonged to, or the culture of classical music belonged to the elite class. Only elite class could afford it, and the people from that strata only studied it. So for various reasons. So that's how this elite culture is considered as the true culture, while other cultures, other practices in the same society considered as inferior. I hope that term of popular culture clear to you. So just because this elite culture is considered as true culture, in the academic sphere, if you look at great works of art only taken to study, while the fact was that majority of the society never read or seen these art forms. So if you could understand, see, simply just like that, it is just like that we didn't get the notion that, see, elite culture is the true culture and the other class practices or other cultural practices that are practiced by other sections of the society are inferior. It is not developed in such a way just like that. But how it happened, if you could see in academic sphere, like, what you are getting there to study. See, take the example of English literature. You will get canonical literature. It's not that we have some names associated to a particular age of English literature and only those people created and came up with wonderful artworks, right? There will be thousands of other writers, poets, novelists, there will be, but only some got entry into the canonical literature. How come that happened? Because certain people, critics only, they decided, or the authority, whoever has this power, decided that these works, these particular works, novels, poetry, drama, these works are eligible to study, while other works, those were there or produced during this era, they were not eligible to study, worthy of study in academic sphere. See, in the romantic age, you cannot see a female poet. Maybe not even before that. In neoclassical age, you cannot find literacy for females were so low. That's one case. But in Victorian age, you can see only one or two poets. And in modern age, when it comes to modern age and postmodern age, you can see that female writers are emerging, especially in poetry. How come that is possible? Even though literacy rate was so low, it is not possible that there were no female poet at all. How come that happened? Because female writers were not considered as kind of legitimate or worthy writers that were needed to study in academic sphere. In the same way with history, you can say that representation of females in history is very low. How come that is possible? Yeah, of course, females got very less participation for many reasons, oppression, patriarchy, and all many things are there. But still, how come they are so absent? Leave the case of females or female section or women section of the society. What about the lower class of people? Have you ever have a chance to read what was the history or what are the historical contribution of black people, or in canonical history, or we can say in the mainstream history? Have you ever seen that? So they don't get any representation. The same case happened with the culture of the majority or mass culture or culture of the masses, culture of the majority class of the society, because their culture, they don't have any, like the artifacts or art forms like mass cinema, popular music or pop music or graffiti. These things never got a chance chance to analyze and study in the academic sphere. So what didn't get any academic approval, they actually won't consider as something that is worthy, right? That's one of the reasons how we have certain authors. Even now we have certain authors in our syllabus and certain authors are not there. Okay, and so because of this, the standards of good, so we are studying only certain writers. I don't think that they are unworthy, but still certain authors, while we are not considering, we are unaware about certain other authors or certain other arts and certain other kind of cultural practices. So our taste about good taste or good idea or good literature, good painting, good music, so our taste is, it is created in such a way when we only study about the elite taste in academic sphere, and that's how certain forms, genres gain respectability while others not. Okay, what the elite accepted as good artifacts or accepted as cultured, others are cultureless. So these elite people simply doesn't mean those who have money. No, those who are having a kind of taste, those who are having power, they have always an upper hand in choosing everything, right? These upper hand people, these upper class people will be there in the academic sphere as authorities. In the government also they'll have upper hand. In the in every other sphere, in every other institution, they will have an upper hand. So naturally, whatever they are doing there or whatever happening there, they'll have they'll have a chance to participate in the meaning creation or participate in the the decision making process in that institution. So that will happen in academic sphere too. When it comes to what to give to study these students, nobody is going to give take the example of Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham. You won't find this film in your film studies syllabus. Why? This is one of the fabulous film that we have created in India as a mass film. It was so profit, it gained so profit, and if you see Kaho Na Pyar Hai, you won't see that also in the syllabus. Why? Everybody love to watch these movies even now after all these years of its first premiere, but it won't find a place in the syllabus. Why? Because this is popular cinema, this is mass cinema, not an art film. Okay, so creating a mass film which is so profitable economically is not a very easy process, right? It needs to have certain elements to come together in a fine proportion to be a good film. But it is not an art film. So that's why it never gets an entry into the academic sphere. So that's how certain things are accepted. So these elite people, those who are considering themselves as powerful, they select or they give approval to their practices, their choices. That's why their culture is considered as cultured while others are cultureless. While cultureless is a kind of wrong name to use because nobody is there as cultureless, right? So the neglected section is called popular culture. So we can see that even though culture practiced by the popular or the mass of the people in the society, that is known as popular culture, but at the same time they are the neglected section, and the culture of the neglected section is called as the popular culture. Okay, I hope this idea is clear enough. But by the 1950s and 1960s, a change happened. Okay, a change occurred in the focus about cultural analysis. So until that time or towards the end of the first half of the 20th century, we can see that culture was always considered as what the elite people practiced, and their culture considered as something elite. Everybody should strive to achieve that kind of a position cultural wise in order to be cultured. Okay, so but a focus shift happened in 1950s and 60s as far as cultural studies or cultural analysis, or the term itself culture got a change during that time, and scholars began to think about popular culture very seriously. Okay, so this happened because of various things. Okay, so when we were discussing about Birmingham Center for Contemporary Cultural Studies, I have mentioned here there that how cultural studies established itself as an academic discipline, because because of certain political and social things happened in Britain. Okay, one among them was the government's new policy to increase the literacy of the people. So if that happened, the people from the members of working class, they'll come to university, but when they come to university they never find anything that are relatable to their lifestyle. So anything that are that they could understand, they could relate to themselves, such things they didn't find, especially in literature, especially in sociology and all, politics, economics. They didn't find anything that they could relate to that subject with their life. So they need to rethink about the syllabus, need to rethink about what they are actually providing to these students. So that's how a gradual change happened in the post-war era as far as culture is concerned. In 1969, the Department of Popular Culture at Bowling Green University launched the Journal of Popular Culture. So this university, Bowling Green University, launched a particular journal known as Journal of Popular Culture in the year 1969. So this was one of the notable changes. A notable thing happened as part of the change occurred in the general perception of the cultural or culture as such. Cultural studies says that culture is all about the meaning a society generated. So basically, how cultural study views culture. So culture is everyday life, how people are carrying out their everyday life. In order to enter into certain institutions, they are, or in order to enter into certain in order to have certain things in their life, they need to do certain rituals, and actually that rituals brings and practices and customs bring meanings to their life. So cultural studies views culture as a thing that generates meaning in a society. So take the example of marriage. If two people wanted to live together, just like that, they cannot one day go and live in some place, right? At least you need to do some kind of rituals in order to enter into that kind of a life or change. Okay, so even if you don't approve the general rituals or religious things going on behind every other marriage, if you don't approve, you can go to the marriage register, but there too you have to practice something, right? You have to sign somewhere in the register book and all, and you need to get the approval. Or even if you are going for a living together, there too you need to kind of announce that you are going to marry, you are going to live together. So in that way, if you want to live together, you have to do something to show to the society that you are going to live together. Okay, so that custom or practice is there, that actually creates the meaning or generates the meaning that you are going to live together, and that's how you get an approval. Okay, it's basically why we are doing certain kind of things in order to while getting married. Okay, suppose you belong to a particular religion. If you are a religious believer, then you will follow a certain kind of custom. You will go to the church or temple, or you will do whatever things appropriate for that religion. If you are not a religious person, then you go to the government office and you will sign in the register and you get married. And if you are not even like to do that, you will actually go to some place and you will start to live together, and everybody will start to identify you as a couple who are living together, who are in a living together relationship. So in that way, some practices you need to do, some customs and rituals you need to do in order to generate the meaning, that in order to get the approval of the society by generating that meaning. Okay, simply just like that you cannot do anything. If there are a lot of customs associated with many things that we are doing. See, if you have a baby, see, you got a son, after marriage you got a son, there will be some birth rituals, there will be many more rituals related to babies, kids and all. So, and when it becomes a certain age, then also their customs are there. So if you do not practice these things, nothing will happen, life will go like that. But it is a matter of approval, and it's a matter of meaning generation. So that's how culture is moving on, and that's how cultural studies views culture. It's all about meaning generation, and it is not naturally happening, as those who are in power, they control the meaning. Okay, so it's not that you are simply following certain customs, but why do you need some approval? Because someone is controlling there. Who all are controlling that power? Those who are at the power. I won't say elite, but those who are at the power. Most of the case, elite people will be having most power in the society. So they will control what you should wear. And nobody directly coming and say that you have to wear this thing in order to get acceptability. You need to be like this, presentable, in order to get acceptability. You need to do these rituals in order to get acceptability. But through various things, through media, through books, through every other institution and artifacts that we have together in a society, through all these things, they will continuously, through government rules and all, they'll instill this thing that if you do only this, then that is great, then that is good, that is cultural. If you go deviate from this, then that is not a good thing to do. See, take the example of TV serials in India. Okay, there they will show and they will portray a picture of good daughter-in-law. If you are like this, you are a good daughter-in-law. If you are doing something and you are preferring your career more than having a baby right now just after marriage, then you are not a good daughter-in-law. If you are dressing in certain ways, then even you are not a good daughter-in-law after your marriage. So daughter-in-law and women are always portrayed as someone who is sacrificing everything for others. If you are not doing that, then you are not a good person or a good mother or a good woman. Okay, so this kind of, who is controlling this? Universal patriarchy is always there, but the people who are in the power, they'll generate such kind of meanings, and they will pass that kind of meanings to everyone else through various medium. Okay, so next, so all these things we will all these things we will learn one by one in the coming videos. Okay, and popular culture is, for cultural studies, a set of beliefs, values and practices that are widely shared. So popular culture is like something that is shared and something that is practiced by majority of the people in the society, and it's a set of values and practices that are widely shared among people in a society. And popular culture constitutes everyday life. So it actually it is all about everyday life. And popular culture include food habits, fashion, forms of transport, the music, reading habits, spaces they occupy, etc. So in every other sphere of life, we can see this influence of popular culture. Okay, the difference between popular culture and elite culture is always there. And it is establishing, and it is actually substantiating through various institutions like education, like media, like various other things are used as as the medium to propagate this elite ideology indirectly. Okay, so what is your major takeaway from this video about popular culture? So popular culture is a set of practices, artifacts and beliefs shared by the masses. So I hope that simple definition is clear enough for you, and it is a constitution, or it is constituted everyday life, and it is all about food habits and every other practices that the majority of people are doing. And this popular culture is somewhat it is labeled as inferior, because it is opposed to elite culture. Elite culture got an entry into, or the elements of elite culture got an entry into the academic sphere especially, and that's how our standards of taste, our standards of ideas all are elite. At the same time we are practicing our own culture, and we are striving to be like elite people. Okay, so that's all about popular culture. I think if you have any doubts, you can directly message me or comment all those suggestions and doubts and queries in the comment section. And in the website www.highpoint, there we have given a separate session for cultural studies. There we have discussed all these things in detail. See, in YouTube video there is always a constraint of time, so we cannot go on and explain about it. And if you have any doubts, obviously you can ask. And if you want to join the WhatsApp group that I have mentioned earlier, don't forget to go to the description box and click the link, and also directly message me if not to this number. And follow me Instagram too for free study materials related to NTA UGC NET JRF. My ID is right here. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to it and press the bell icon so that you get a notification every time when I post a video in it. So don't miss any of the videos, any of the video sessions and lectures that we are posting in these two lecture series known as Cultural Studies and Literary Theory and Criticism, because these two papers are so crucial and many of the students find themselves so difficult to understand the concepts in these two papers. So don't miss anything, don't skip anything, watch it full and press the like button if you like it after watching this video. So that's all about it. Meet you in the next class, next video session. And also don't forget to comment your major takeaway from this video in the comment section. Ta-ta, bye-bye.